Well, good morning. It's good to see you this morning. Happy Labor Day weekend. My name is Tommy. I get the amazing privilege of being on staff as the West Dallas campus pastor. Special welcome and shout out to those at Mayfair Road, Sherman Park, and online. I always look forward to us diving into the Word, and knowing that we're all diving into it from different places is a cool way of showing God's church together. Even though we may not be in the same room, we're still worshiping the same God at the same time together. Today we're going to be finishing out this series called A Closer Look, in which we've been walking through this summer some of our different favorite Bible verses. And today we're going to be looking at Psalm 121. And so if you've got your Bible, your smartphone, if you want to open up to Psalm 121, the black hardcover Bible's in front of you. It's on page 516. And as you open up, so a couple things. This is a psalm of ascent. It's a psalm of ascent. And several weeks ago, Pastor Mark actually talked about psalms of ascent. He was talking about them, and one of the things he said is the Psalms of Ascent are a set of poems in the book of Psalms that were part of a playlist that they would sing as they were journeying to Jerusalem. Right, like those Spotify playlists that we listen to, like when you're going on a road trip or something. This is like a prehistoric playlist from Spotify, right? And so I got to be honest, when Pastor Mark was talking about playlists, my mind wandered. I know a pastor's mind wandered during the sermon. It happens, okay? We all do it. And I started to ask, thinking in my head, what would be on my playlist if I was going on a road trip? What would be on my playlist? And it got me thinking, what songs that no matter when I play them, they just bring me to dance, right? I don't dance very often, but what song's in it? In my family, there's two songs that do this. The second we play them, they start dancing. Thunder by Imagine Dragons and Praise by Elevation Worship. And I gotta be honest, according to my 2-year-old, we say it wrong. It's Dunda and Praise. But man, the second we play these songs, my kids start dancing. In fact, that same 2-year-old, it was one time he's in his room, where our music plays, our living room is around the corner, and I pressed play on Praise, and he came running out of his room, stood in front of the TV, and just started dancing. I mean, he was going nuts, and he does this all the time. Right? It's one of those songs that whenever we hear it in our family, it just brings about this sense of dance. You got any songs that come to that in mind? Weddings, there's certain songs that do this, right? The YMCA, right? The cha-cha slide or the electric slide. I don't know why we like slides at weddings, but apparently we do. All right? Maybe it's not dancing, but are there other songs that just bring back old memories and like a sense of comfort when you hear them? Right? I grew up in the country and I went to college in the same town. And I had a good friend of mine, his name was Drew, that my freshman year of college, we would hop in his 1995 Nissan Maxima and go for a cruise. All right, we're college students, you do the best with what you got. And if you ever had a cruise, it's like you get in the car and just listen to music and just drive. And so we would drive down these old country roads listening to Breaking Benjamin. All right, like no judgment, like this is a 90s, early 2000s rock band. And so whenever I hear these songs, even this week when I was listening to it, it just brought me back to driving on those State Route 42 with Drew, just cruising along, enjoying this. You got any songs that bring you back? Any songs that just take you to a place and just bring about this sense of comfort? Today's psalm is a psalm of ascent. It's a part of the playlist that brings back Israel to this sense of joy, celebration, and encouragement. And every time they would sing it, it would just change the atmosphere in the room. This psalm is a part of their playlist on their road trip. And so I'm going to read all 8 verses in a second. But before I do, I want you to do something in your mind. Imagine that you're a part of a caravan of people that's on a journey to the city for a big celebration. Right? There's lots of people around, and you're not in a car. Cars didn't exist back then, so there's no Apple Music, Spotify, CDs. There's not even 8 tracks yet. But as you're going along, someone starts to sing. And as they do, it immediately brings you back to the sense of joy and comfort. That's what this psalm is. It's a psalm that brings them back and sets the atmosphere for the entire journey, and it helps them and encourages them as they go. So I'm going to read all 8 verses. And as I do, I just want you to have that picture in your mind of on a caravan walking along and someone starts to sing this. I lift my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil, and he will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. This is a psalm of joy and a psalm of comfort. And whenever the people of Israel would hear it, they would start to have this almost energy like, okay, we can keep going on this journey. And so why does this song bring that about? Why does it bring about this part of comfort? Well, let's dive in. All right, let's dive into this. First thing to note, we don't know who wrote this psalm. We actually aren't sure who wrote it. But what we do know is that this song was meant to be sung. I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but this is important, right? In music, who sings a song can change how it's interpreted, right? And this psalm is actually meant to be a duet. It was meant to be a duet. The first two verses were meant to be sung by a specific singer, and the last set of them, 3 through 8, was meant to be sung by someone else. It was kind of almost a call and response. The first person would sing going, "Where does my help come from?" And the next person would go, "Let me tell you." And it's this back and forth. And so have you ever heard a beautiful duet where two people sing towards each other, right? Songs come to mind, "Don't Go Breaking My Heart," "Ain't No Mountain High Enough." I just picture Remember the Titans whenever I hear that, okay? All right, "You're the One That I Want." Let me just say, Disney has figured out how to do duets. "Do You Wanna Build a Snowman?" We don't talk about Bruno. It's not technically a duet, but you gotta throw it in there, right? Like duets, whenever we hear them, what is it? It's two people singing towards each other. And it changes how you understand the song. And that's what this psalm is. The first vocalist is asking a question. The second one is answering it for them. And so let's dive in. What is the first vocalist? What is their parts? Look at verse 1. "I lift my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come?" Why is he looking at the hills? Right, that's the first question that comes to mind, and there's two ideas on why this person's looking to the hills. The first one is this is most likely where Yahweh is, or the Lord, right? This is where their God is, and so that's where he is. And in Scripture, there's a lot of mountaintop experiences where God meets with his people. In Exodus, we see God interact with Moses on Mount Sinai. In Genesis, God interacts with Adam and Eve on a mountain. In fact, the place they're caravanning to, Jerusalem, is on a hill. And so what we could see is the author is looking up to God and asking the question, he's asking for help on this journey. So that's one idea. The other idea is as he's looking up the hills, in a lot of other pagan religions or a lot of the other religions in that day, the hills are where their gods lived. It's where their deities would live. And so while they would live up there, this person who's journeying is looking up and he sees danger. He sees gods who are doing the best for their people looming in the sense of danger, wanting to come down and attack them. So in either case, what the singer is asking for, what he's saying is, where does my help come from? He's looking for help and guidance. Whether it be energy for a long trip or protection from outside forces, the author is asking, where is my help coming from? He wants to know, where is the willpower and energy to go to Jerusalem? Where is it going to come from? And then he answers his own question. What does he say? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. This is such a subtle nod to the power of God over other beings, right? Let's say that the hills represent the dwelling place of other gods. The psalmist is flexing on God for a moment, right? This is Israel flexing on their God, saying he's better than others. Oh, your God lives on a hill? My God made the hill that you live on. This is a flex moment. It's the ultimate, our God is better than your God mic drop. The psalmist is setting the tone for the song. He's saying, who is it we worship? The Lord, who's the greatest of them all. And this is the first part of the duet. This first singer is setting up this question and is now giving the second person an opportunity to build off that groundwork and now say, why is he the greatest? What about him makes so great as they're journeying? And so check out that groundwork. What does the second vocalist say? It starts in verse 3. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The second voice is agreeing with and reassuring the second verse that yes, you are right. God is great. Right? The same God that loves Israel is the same God that loves you and will be with you. And then the second vocalist adds a flex moment. He will neither slumber nor sleep. What is this singer getting at? The author is trying to bring about this encouragement or this feeling of being safe because they can know their protector is nearby. Another way of saying it, no matter the time of day, night, or whatever, God is watching over you and will protect you on your journey. Think of it this way. My wife and I, we have 4 kids. And there was a season about a year ago where one of our kids woke up every single night in the middle of the night in almost like a cold sweat, just woke up. And I gotta say, there's nothing more terrifying than at 2 a.m. having a face right here. She was terrified. She would wake up in the middle of the night, and this happened over and over and over again. And it was almost this fear in her. And that each time she'd wake up, she would feel alone and couldn't see those around her. And so my wife and I one of us would get up with her, and we'd reassure her, hey, we're with you. We're here. We may not be in your room. We're sleeping in our room, but we're with you. We aren't going anywhere. And eventually this would calm her down. She would fall asleep knowing that we were there with her. Now, did I stay up all night looking over her? No, I need my beauty sleep. But she would fall asleep with this sense of relief, knowing that her protectors were nearby. That's what the psalmist is getting at. This feeling of knowing that no matter how scared, terrified, or exhausted you may be, God is there and will be with you day or night. Think about it. The first person is caravanning, and he's saying, hey, no matter how long it takes, he will be with you. It's this sense of encouragement. This is such a large encouragement and motivating moment that no matter the struggle, no matter the pain, no matter how scared, God does not leave. He is that safe place that is always with us. Always. The encouragement continues in the second vocalist in verse 5 and 6. Check them out. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord is your keeper. This is a key phrase, right? That word keeper shows up 5 times in these verses. Sometimes as a noun, sometimes as a verb, right? What does it mean to keep something, right? The original language denotes this idea of being safe or protected. This idea of being safe or protected, to keep something safe or protected. Another way of saying it, have you ever been scrolling through your phone and you see those videos of someone rescuing a cute puppy? All right, cue the Sarah McLachlan music, right? Like we got to make sure she makes her money. You see those cute pictures, what happens? Each video is similar, and what does it do? It just tears at your heartstrings, right? The main idea of each video is that there's a small puppy that's near death in the wilderness. The world has not been kind to this animal. It's in the woods or something. It's not been there. And a kind stranger comes and finds this helpless animal, picks it up, and brings it back to their car to drive to receive help, right? And in the moment the animal is placed in the vehicle, that puppy is now kept safe and protected from any looming harm. It is safe from the elements, from other animals, from anything the world may throw at it because it is in the car with its rescuer. Right? Because that's the idea brought about here. The Lord is the keeper. It is kept safe. The rescuer is the keeper of this puppy. In the same way, the author is saying, the Lord is your keeper. He's found you. He's made you his, and now you are safe with him. The psalmist is encouraging the first singer by saying, you were like that helpless puppy, but now you are kept safe because the Lord is your keeper. Such a beautiful emotion that he's getting at there. And the second singer continues by saying, the Lord is your shade at your right hand. Or he's so close to you that nothing, not even the sun, can bother you. Remember, these people are that are singing this duet are on a caravan. They're on a journey to Jerusalem. The sun would be beating down on them, right? And so to say the sun and the moon will not harm you is something they wouldn't just hear, they would feel it. Do you guys remember this past week how hot it was? On Monday and Tuesday, it was so hot, I learned a new term, corn sweat. Like seriously, the news was talking, a real thing, corn, like corn on the cob, that corn apparently dries out and all the humidity goes in the air, and that's what made it so hot. Google it later. Apparently it's a real thing, right? I learned that this is a real thing, but like it was so hot this week. Do you remember that feeling? My kid's soccer practice was canceled. Other things in the community, everything was canceled. Why? Because it was so hot. And what did we long for? Relief from the sun, right? The heat can be exhausting. And so when they hear the Lord is your shade, this is something they would feel. They would be saying, the Lord is there to protect you from this. He's going to keep you. Life can feel like that sometimes, right? Like you're walking through it and the sun is just beating down. Life can just be filled with tough times and hardships. It can feel like we're moving along the journey of life and the sun is just beating down on us and we're begging our rescuer just to give us relief from the sun. And the author, the second vocalist, is saying, I know that's how you feel in this journey. But no, not even the sun or moon can harm you. Why? Because the Lord is near. The Lord is with you. That's how close he is. Nothing can harm you because of that truth. Yahweh is personal. He's relational. He's with you. He's your keeper. And this is the crazy part. He wants to be with you in those hard times. Now, I think it's important to note what it does, that scripture doesn't say here that he makes the sun disappear and the moon disintegrate. Right? Those hard times are still going to happen. Right? It doesn't. I would love to be able to read this and say, for him to say, it's all going to go away, he's here. But that's not the case. The truth is, God promises to be with us. Sometimes who you go through trouble with can make all the difference. Sometimes who you go through hard times with can make all the difference. A little bit about me. I'm not an explorer. Right? I like to experience the things that I'm used to and do those things over and over. One of my staff members literally told me, boring, right? That's what they said about me. My wife is the opposite. She loves to explore and go to new cities. She loves experiencing new things and experiencing something new. She pushes me in that respect. I'm better off for it. And right after we got married, we knew that we were going to be moving from Ohio to Chicago. We moved to the north side of Chicago. And so I was going to go there for grad school. So we needed to drive up and kind of explore for a place to live. We needed to find a place to live. So we took off on a Sunday and drove through the cornfields of Indiana. We drove through Gary, Indiana, and then saw the skyline of Chicago. And I got to admit, it was an awesome sight. I'm a little more biased. The skyline of Milwaukee's better, but that's just my personal thing. But at the time, I'm a country boy driving and seeing the city, and I remember just saying, like, this is awesome. My wife used to live in downtown Chicago before we got married. She loves that city. And so she was excited to move back at the time to Chicago, to this densely populated area where we could walk to places, be a part of the hustle and bustle, and have people surrounded by us. But as we were driving closer to the city, if you've ever driven through Chicago, you learn that you're in the city, not by the skyline, but by the traffic. And the traffic did what Chicago traffic does. It started to build up. And as Chicago traffic did, I got to be honest, I started to get more panicked the more traffic there. City driving was not something I was used to. I grew up used to not seeing my neighbors. Now I'm next to cars. Right, I'm thrust into Chicago city, bumper to bumper, finger waving traffic, and they weren't giving me a thumbs up. I was terrified. The skyscrapers made me feel out of place. The Illinois drivers were clearly not going the speed limit and were right next to me. I'm used to country roads, not 5 lanes of highway and a green sign saying, get off here every 5 seconds, right? I could feel my anxiety rising and I wasn't sure I was gonna make it through. I remember looking at my wife who was in the passenger seat and I said to her, I've got to pull over. You need to drive, right? You can do this. You're used to this. And she looked back at me and said this, hey, we've got this. I know where we're going. Keep moving forward. Even though I was terrified of the traffic, I knew because my wife was with me and she knew where we were going, we were going to be okay. The traffic wasn't going to go away. The Chicago drivers weren't going to look at me and say, oh, you're new at this? Let me give you some space. Right? No, but because my wife was with me, I was able to walk through and have the courage to keep driving forward. Have you ever been there? Been in a situation where you were so scared, but just the presence of a good friend made the difference? Like, this is what he's saying in the psalm. When we go through hard times, the Lord being with us makes all the difference. And I want to say this, as helpful as a close friend or an amazing spouse is in times of trouble, how much greater is it that our God is with us in those times? That is the beauty of this. The one who made us, the one who created everything, is with us. That's this feeling that he's bringing up. That's what the psalmist is getting at. Whatever is coming at you on your journey, whatever you're going through, the Lord is with you. Right? The trouble may still exist. It's going to be there, but you can find comfort and know that God is with you and gives you the courage to move forward. The Lord is your keeper. He is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. And look, I don't know where you are today. I don't know what you're coming in with. I don't know what life has thrown at you. But this reality of the Lord is with us is true for all of us that believe in Jesus. He is with you. He promises to be with you in those troubling moments. And he wants you to grow to become more like him. As we trust in him, we become more like him and we do what he does. Right? 13 years later, after driving through that city, I can say that I can drive through that hard time of the city with more confidence because I went through it with somebody, right? I couldn't say I'm a city driver then, but I can now. And as we go through life with God, as we're walking through it and he is with us, he uses these hard times, why? To help us to become more like him and to grow so we can take that reality and have more confidence moving forward as we go through hard times in the future. That's the beauty of this psalm. Can you feel the encouragement? And why this would bring comfort to the listener? All right, and so this second part, the second duet, this whole psalm ends with two verses, with the last two stanzas, verse 7 and 8. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. There's that word again, right? Keep, right? It shows up 3 times in these verses. The Lord will keep you from evil. He will keep your life. Look, evil still exists. God's not saying he will remove the evil, but he says he'll be with you as it comes. Remember, this is a song by a caravan of people as they're walking a journey to Jerusalem. Robbers and other things would want to harm them in their group. So when they're saying the Lord will keep you, it's a sense of comfort and relief. The evil still exists, but it's saying God is with you. So when the psalmist is saying the Lord will keep you from evil, this is a very felt thing they feel, right? The good news that this psalmist is saying is that no matter what comes, you are not alone. God is with you. Your life is kept with God and your life is safe in him. And think of the feelings that would come over you as you're hearing this, right? The emotions of walking through a scary place only to hear you will be safe. This is what the listener feels, a sense of relief, a sense of joy, a sense of hope. And then they end with, the Lord will keep your going out and coming in from this time forth and forevermore. Or another way of saying it, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, Yahweh will always be with you. That word forevermore there is so strong, right? It does not end. He is always with you. For those that have put our faith in Jesus, who calls our Savior, this is a true promise for us that he will be with us, that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're feeling, he is with you. When you go about your day, he is with you. When you're home at night, he is with you. When you're out with friends, he is with you. When you're at the supermarket, he's with you. When you are at work, he is with you. And the psalmist even says, when you are asleep, he is with you. Man, what does that feel like when we let that truth internalize in us? Right? When at work, do we work in a way that shows God is with us? When we're on a date, are we present in a way that shows that God is with us? When we're in times of trouble and heartache, are we moving forward in a way that shows that God is with us? When we're in seasons of joy and celebration, are we celebrating the fact that God is with us? This is the beauty of this psalm. God is with us and he is our keeper. My hope for us is that as we add this psalm, that we would add it to our playlist. Right, as we're going through times, that we would remind us of this, and I hope it brings us a sense of comfort and encouragement, whatever the season we're going through. And as I was preparing for today, there were kind of two different groups of people that came to mind. Two different groups. There was the first group of those that are in the valley, right, that are going through hard times right now. And if that's you, I just want you to know, we're so glad you're here. We are not meant to go through hard things alone. Right? The scripture says to bear one another's burdens together. We're to bear that together and help each other as we're walking forward in life. But I just want to say this, as much as it is good for a good friend to be with you, I want you to know Christ is with you. He has not forgotten you. He has not left you. He is your keeper. One way that I've been helping internalize this as I've been studying this is a great way to internalize stuff is to memorize it. But I got to be honest, 8 verses is a lot. Right? I sometimes struggle with that. And so what I've done is I shortened this psalm to like 2 sentences, 2 short sentences in one phrase. And every morning I wake up and this is what I say to myself to help me. And this is what I say. The Lord is my keeper. God is with me. The Lord is my keeper. God is with me. And one of the ways that I think that if you're going through hard times or good times, just let this be internalized. I wake up every morning and this is what I say to myself. Just a reminder as I'm starting the day, the Lord is my keeper. God is with me. And not only is this psalm a psalm of encouragement to those that are going in tough times, but remember, this is something that brings about comfort and joy. And this is also for those that are on the other side that like, man, life is good right now. I'm not in the valley. Right? It's something to be sung when we are in good times as well, right? Listen, I can listen to songs when things are hard and they have a different feeling than when times are good, right? And this is one of those that we can sing in both cases. And as a church, I just gotta say, I think that we're in a season of joy. We're in a season of joy. Last week, we had 19 people get baptized, right? This psalm is one that we should be celebrating and reminding ourselves how good God is. Right? For those that are followers of Christ, our God is greater than anything else that is out there. Yahweh is the shade when we need it, but he's also our joy in good times. He's personal. He's with us. He is worth celebrating and praising, right? This is something we should shout from where we are. We can flex about our God. We can flex about him. He's with us. He's our shade in times of trouble. He's always there. And as a church, man, we are headed towards a season of joy. Right? Groups start in a few weeks, coming back together after a lot of us have taken the summer off. We have fall kickoffs at each campus where we're going to celebrate coming together and what God is doing and eat food. And let me tell you, there is very few ways that are better to celebrate than eating food together. Right? We're going to do this. The goodness of our God. We have a concert to come together as a church and worship God. Right? Church, the Lord is our keeper. He's worth celebrating. I'm going to invite the teams up right now, the different bands at each campus, and they're going to start to settle in. And I want to read this whole psalm as we close. And my hope today is after I read this and we enter into a time of worship, I'm going to pray and then we're going to sing. Man, can this be a celebration for us? If you're in a season that's good, I hope that we can declare Christ is our firm foundation. And if we're in a time of hardness, that we can say, Christ is with us. He's worth singing. We should celebrate and be excited because our God is with us. I lift my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. The Lord is our keeper. He is with us. Father, I just thank you so much for who you are. That God, that is true for all of us that trust in you, that believe in you, no matter where we're at, that this is true. You are with us. God, you are relational. You want us to be with you. You want to be with us. And so God, as we trust in you, God, I thank you that through these hard times, as we go to the city, as we're going through these things, as we're on the caravan of life, you want us to become more like you so we can go and take who you are to the world. And so God, I thank you that we can celebrate you, that we can declare you are our firm foundation, that all is built upon you. God, we love you and praise you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.